It was a bright Sunday morning in a quiet suburban neighborhood. The sun filtered through tall oak trees, lighting up the grand white mansion at the end of Willow Drive. Inside, everything gleamed. Marble floors, golden and spotless furniture polished to perfection. In the middle of the living room, Angela, a black woman in her early 40s, gently rocked a baby in her arms. The little girl giggled, reaching for Angela's necklace, and Angela smiled softly, whispering, "It's okay, sweetheart, you're safe." But that peace shattered in an instant. The front door slammed open, and Clara, a wealthy white woman dressed in designer clothes and dripping with jewelry, stormed inside. Her high heels echoed like thunder on the marble floor. "What on earth do you think you're doing?" Clara shouted, her voice sharp with outrage. Angela froze. "Ma'am," she was crying. Before Angela could finish, Clara slapped her across the face. The sound echoed through the entire house. "How dare you touch my baby?" Clara yelled. "You're here to clean, not to play mother." The baby burst into tears, terrified by the shouting. Angela gently tried to calm her, but Clara snatched the child away and turned her back. Tears welled in Angela's eyes, but she said nothing. She had been through worse. She simply lowered her head and whispered, "I'm sorry, ma'am." A few seconds later, the sound of a car engine stopped outside. Clara's husband, Michael, stepped into the house carrying grocery bags. He froze as soon as he saw the tension in the room. Angela standing still, hand on her cheek, and Clara holding their crying baby. "What's going on here?" he asked, setting the bags down slowly. Clara pointed accusingly. "She was holding our baby. Michael, can you believe that? Without permission." Michael's face hardened. He looked at Angela, then at his wife. "Did you hit her?" Clara scoffed. "She needs to learn her place. I won't have our help crossing boundaries." Angela stayed silent, still trembling slightly. Michael walked closer to her, his expression full of concern. "Angela, are you all right?" She nodded quietly, but her eyes told a different story. Michael turned back to Clara, his voice low and controlled. "Do you have any idea who she is?" Clara frowned, confused. "She's the maid you hired last month." Michael sighed and ran a hand through his hair. "No, Clara, she's not just the maid." A few months earlier, Michael had been driving home late at night in the rain when he lost control of his car and crashed into a ditch. He was trapped, bleeding, and struggling to stay awake. No one was around, except for Angela. She was walking home from her night shift at the hospital when she saw the wreck. Without hesitation, she climbed down the muddy slope, broke the glass with a rock, and pulled him out. She called an ambulance, pressed her scarf against his wounds, and stayed with him until help arrived. Michael never forgot her face when he learned that her own home had later burned down in a short-circuit fire, leaving her with nothing. He and his company helped her find work as a housekeeper while she rebuilt her life. Michael's voice was firm now. "Angela saved my life. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't even be here. She risked her own safety to pull me from that car. And when she saw our baby crying today, she did what any kind-hearted person would do." Clara's expression faltered. "She saved you." "Yes," Michael said. "And you just slapped her for holding a baby," she comforted out of love. The room went silent. The baby had stopped crying, but her little face was still red and wet with tears. Clara looked down, her hand trembling slightly. Guilt began to sink in. Angela finally spoke, her voice soft but steady. "Ma'am, I didn't mean any harm. I just didn't want the baby to cry. She reminds me of my own daughter." Michael turned sharply. "You have a daughter?" Angela nodded slowly. "Had she passed away 2 years ago from pneumonia, I couldn't save her." The room grew heavy with emotion. Even Clara couldn't hold back her tears now. She stepped forward, her tone no longer harsh but broken. "Angela, I didn't know. I'm so sorry." Angela smiled faintly through the pain. "It's all right, ma'am. Sometimes we see people and think we already know their story, but we don't." Later that afternoon, Clara asked Angela to sit down with her for tea, something she had never done before. The two women sat quietly in the garden, the baby sleeping peacefully in a stroller nearby. Clara finally spoke. "When I saw you holding my child, I panicked. I don't even know what I thought, but I shouldn't have treated you that way. You didn't deserve that." Angela gave a gentle nod. "We all make mistakes, ma'am. What matters is that we learn from them." Clara reached across the table and took Angela's hand. "Thank you for forgiving me." From that day on, Clara's attitude changed completely. She began treating Angela with genuine respect, even insisting she join the family for meals. The two women grew close, and the baby grew to adore Angela like a second mother. Michael often watched them from afar, grateful for how compassion had turned a moment of hate into understanding. 1 year later, the family threw a small gathering in their backyard to celebrate Angela's birthday. Neighbors, friends, and even some of Michael's co-workers were there. Angela looked radiant, smiling as she cut her cake, surrounded by people who once saw her as just the help. As the guests sang, Clara stood beside her, arm around Angela's shoulder. She whispered, "Your family now." Angela smiled with tears in her eyes. "Thank you, ma'am. That means more than you know." In the end, the mansion that once felt cold and divided became a place of warmth and belonging, and the woman who once acted out of pride learned that kindness could heal more deeply than money or power ever could. Hate divides, but kindness heals. We are all equal, and sometimes the people we least expect are the ones who show us what true humanity means.